everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome in on a windy Friday, January the 9th. Maize and Blue Review. Good afternoon, Michigan football. We're ready to get things underway. Thanks a lot for joining us on a day where we have been doing a lot of the same things. We have been checking the transfer portal and seeing who's in there from Michigan, and you get surprised, and then you're waiting to see what kind of commitments that they're able to get out of the transfer portal. And it can be, it all depends. It can be very nerve-wracking for you, grinding this out. If you're comparing, you're going to compare Michigan to other teams that aren't in the playoffs, and you're going to say, okay, why isn't Michigan like Texas Tech or the other teams that are up top and are just, pulling guys in left or right? Or you can just sit back and say, hey, I noticed today that both Ohio State and Penn State are right around where Michigan is ranked in the portal rankings. Portal rankings, it's not everything. And just Wednesday, right off the top here, I'll have to go back to Wednesday's show where it was MJ who was lamenting Michigan's lack of incoming commitments out of the portal. And he wasn't necessarily mocking me. I felt like he was doing that I was celebrating or looking at how well Michigan had done retaining almost all of their players except Sullivan, that, you're really thinking that were tremendous players. This was just on Wednesday. And, no, they had not. They had a long snapper, I think. And, since then they've had a kicker and a punter and a big time pull out of the transfer portal. But it's like recruiting. You sit around and you hope and you want the big fish and you wait. And then when you get one, it's like, all right, where's the next one? Immediately you just want more and more. It just keeps, it's the nature of recruiting or filling out your roster. As soon as you get an answer that's even positive, then, okay, what's it mean for the next one? And who's coming in next? And what's happening? Who's on campus? So there's people that just love this. I mean, this is just nonstop speculation and, checking things coming in left and right. And for some that might be new or following it in, maybe part of it is just, you like to get tense about it until even if there's time and you get people telling you to relax, you don't want to relax. Whatever makes you feel good. I can't tell people, sometimes I get, I don't know about mad. I look at people that are all like, you just got to wait. Just got to wait and see. Everything's going to be fine. It's Michigan. They'll do great. Kind of just chill out. And I get that advice. I mean, that's not bad advice. Let's, especially if you're really tense about it. Just wait. No reason to get angry about it. I sometimes look at those people and I'm like, yeah, okay. But the other side of it where you're gripping on this thing is not working and you can't. You always want somebody to blame, and it was really easy before. That's why the bowl game was for a lot of people. It was interesting because you're like, good, fire up, because they're all going to be pretty much, and they all pretty much were out afterwards. They're like, fire this guy, fire that guy. I can't wait till they're gone. And there's, you don't want to jump down the new coach's throat right off the bat. Even if you're just, tensed up on all this. I don't know if that's making any sense to you. I'm not extreme on either of those sides, but I'm not, I don't like being right in the middle on it. I'd say more of looking at every move and, having a good feeling or a negative feeling with every bit of information. I'm at the mercy of the information on how I'm feeling at any particular moment. That's might not be a great way to go through this thing, but that's where I'm at. Uh, where I'm also at is right smack dab in the middle of a 5-day run, which is the kind of 5-day run that I love. Playoff game last night, playoff game tonight, playoff games tomorrow, bunch of games on Sunday, Monday. It is it is here. This is a lot. I know Michigan's not in there. I would like, or the Lions. It'd like both of the local teams to be in, but they're not. But it's still very enjoyable. A team that is considered the favorite for the national championship in college basketball is back in action tomorrow afternoon. We'll touch on Dusty May's Wolverines. They get ready for the Badgers, but we're starting and we're talking about this portal and getting you up to date. Now, you watch this, you probably are well versed in all of the movement right now, who's in and who's out. But if you're not, let's just go over some of them, and I can give you some opinions on where how I feel about certain players and who's coming and who's going and things like that. Michigan was able to add. I mentioned the kicker, the long snapper, and the punter. Those are great. Michigan was able to add on 3 ranks the portal players that are available, and their 4th best player that they ranked this year was a defensive end from Utah named John Henry Daly, and he was visiting. So yesterday, I think yesterday, and he's in. So Michigan was able to land the 4th best player in the portal. Now, that's great. Now you want more and more and more. Okay, it was like I was talking about before, but just sitting out there by itself, a position of need, a player that was awesome last year, a former 3-star player who now, you'd look at him and say this guy could be an All-American. If there's a rub or an issue with him, is that he did have an Achilles injury last year. He is saying, or it is being said, that he should be available by the start of the season. But that is one thing to monitor on him. But everything else is great. Everything else about JHD is great. Is actually perfect. That's the one thing. So, there's always something. That's it. The Achilles. And yeah, if you want to say supposed to be fine, why bring it up? Well, I'm just bringing it up because it's something to keep an eye on. That's why. But so great job by Whittingham. They, this was their big one. Now you want more big ones and more to come, but this is a great start. They also, you follow recruiting a couple of years ago, Michigan was in on this running back Taylor Tatum, and they were able to get him. I think he was ranked as the top running back just a couple of years ago, and they were able to get him via the transfer portal. I don't know when you talk about position or need or not. I know that this year in the Ohio State game, and then the bowl, you had Bryson Cusdahl, who was, I don't know, for me, 5th string running back, so can't have enough good players, can't have enough good running backs. And so you've got Tatum. Meanwhile, Justice Haynes was a great pickup for Michigan in the portal last year. He couldn't have been any better. He was the ultimate explosive running back. Justice Haynes, there was, I don't know, this time last week, if you were asking me, hey, is there a chance that he's going to come back to Michigan? And there was talk that, that he could come back. It was always a little bit peculiar because Michigan has Jordan Marshall, and when Haynes went down, Marshall proved that he could be the number 1 back. But when you got a guy like Haynes, you could talk about him being one of the best, if not the best, certainly, I don't know, one of the top 5 running backs in the country. So if he wanted to come back, you're going to be interested. Now, he is in the transfer portal. There's a lot of things that could mean. One is that, sure, he's eyeballing the draft. When you have the kind of explosiveness that Haynes showed last year, if he goes out in runs at the combine, I think we would all, pre-injury, I think we would all expect him to run a sub 4.4, and then just watching his football speed, this was a legitimate NFL back, not a first round back, but depending on what he ran, a second round, but certainly a third round back. But so why would he be in the transfer portal? Well, why not? Why? And I didn't do this. I was going to do this. I didn't. I was going to look at the backs last year who were drafted in the third round to see what kind of contracts that they had received. And I know there was a point where Haynes, there were a lot of Michigan fans, and rightfully so, talking Heisman buzz for him as he was just, ripping off these 50, 60, 75-yard touchdown runs. And that was legit. So I know that I would suspect that he really liked that, being in the Heisman buzz, but also the amount of money that is being thrown at running backs. If he could land a 7-figure deal and get another year of college where he thinks he could be and even improve on his stock, I know there was always, if there was no NIL, you'd say, you go to the pros for sure. You're a running back. You only have so much miles on the tires. All of that is true, but why not go in the portal and see what kind of offers, or see what kind of a deal that you can get. Now, if you're a Michigan fan, you don't like to see it because you would like it if he was coming back to Michigan, but you don't want to see him going anywhere else. And I hope now, with what Michigan has at their running back room, it doesn't look like he's coming to Michigan. I would just hope that he goes pro. And then, hey, his last stop was at Michigan. When you look at all the social media, whenever he's in the pros, you could always be like, yeah, Haynes, Michigan. But if he goes, and I don't know where he would end up, where he would go, but let's just say Ole Miss or something like that. You're not really putting his name up there like that wasn't the last stop. So that has been an interesting development. Some of the names, there's a 5-star wide receiver from Ohio State. Now, I was monitoring the Maize and Blue review. These guys are checking their list. They're checking them twice. They're checking with their sources. And it didn't, I saw a headline that said Michigan is one of the favorites for Quincy Porter, the 5-star wide receiver out of Ohio State. That was not the sense I got when I was reading what the Maize and Blue review was saying about Michigan's chances. They got a shot. You get them on campus. Those are, get a visit, and we'll see what happens from there. But it's definitely a name to monitor, as is anybody who is from the state of Utah. If you are a good player and you played at Utah or BYU and you're in the transfer portal, I'm thinking that Michigan's got a really good chance at landing guys like that. There's a DB. I'm going to get to that. That's kind of the position group of the day. Defensive back. There's a DB that was at Utah last year named Snowden and Utah. Interesting. No, Smith Snowden is his name. I've never heard of anybody with their first name Smith, but apparently that is his first name, Smith Snowden. That would be a name that I would be very interested in as a Michigan fan, as a defensive back. Michigan has interest in a lot of defensive backs, and it's been that way for a week. And there are a lot of people, wow, Michigan's wanting really to bring in a lot of defensive backs. Well, since then you've had Brandon Hillman, he went into the portal, and TJ Metcalf yesterday. That was a surprise. It came out of left field. And now he's in the portal. The one thing you have to do if you're a Michigan fan, I think the instant reaction, I think this is whether you do this or not, there's a part of your brain that wants to do that. This is that anybody that comes in, let's say like John Henry Daly, this kid's going to be great. What an impact player, position of need. He's going to be awesome. Whittingham, the staff, wait till the defensive line coach, gets his hands on him. Powell, I think his name is. He'll be awesome. So because he's coming in. Of a guy leaves like TJ Metcalf or Brandon Hillman, you say these guys weren't very good, anyways. That's the natural thing to do. That's how you want to feel about it. They weren't all that good. Oh, these guys are great. The one caveat to that is that guys are going into the transfer portal and you think that they're gone. And then when we see if they've come back. So if you could go and look to see what Michigan fans were saying about, a number of players, like we go to Andrew Sprague. He wasn't all that. Had a bad year. Not that good. Zeke Berry. But now they're back, and you're kind of caught. It's okay. You're a fan. Doesn't matter. But there was a little bit of that going on, even on this show with Berry. Berry's got a lot of experience, and kicking him on the way out wasn't the way to go to begin with when it came down to that. But when they come back, then you're like, oh, I didn't mean all that. I've seen a little bit of that with Hillman. Certainly Hillman missed a big tackle that everybody saw. That was a big part why Michigan lost to Oklahoma. And he had that other very public gaffe where he had the unsportsmanlike against at Nebraska, where he was telling everybody what to do, and jumping a lake or whatever he was telling them, and got flagged for that. People were it's mad as hell at him about that, and so they're slapping him around a little bit as he leaves. You can get better. That's the part when you start like Berry and Hillman at Michigan, it doesn't mean, even if those guys weren't great, that they could play better football ahead. So I don't know. I'm just saying it. I think everybody knows it, but I know, again, the natural inclination is to, when they leave, say they weren't all that good. And when the guys that are coming in are great, it just makes you feel better. I had a friend in high school, I had a good looking girlfriend. And when she broke up, I went over and told them, I was like, she wasn't all that. She was overrated. I told them the next day they got back together. I was like, forget all that. I was just saying all of that just to make you feel better. She's hot. She looks great. So I don't know. My head's spinning a little bit with that. Let's take some feedback on what the people think. And guess what? We got a lot of people that have a lot to say. And let's get to them. Let's go. There's old formerly DVR. Rip, it's good to see him. Make sure you get back to the home, Rip, before they know you're gone. NFM is saying, I'm here in the Justice Haynes was wanting 2.6. Yeah, I've heard a lot of different numbers. I did not hear that specific number myself. Oh, I'm hearing. I don't know. 2.6. Yeah, he's one of the best backs. Sure. I want 2.6. But considering what Michigan has, that's the interesting part. It would be nice if we just had Michigan's GM with us all of the time, and we could look at some of the numbers. Hey, what's the amount that you guys are committing to the running back position? Because you got Jordan Marshall. That is a Big Ten starting running back. And so you put the money towards him. And then what do you have left? Do they feel like, and you always have some wiggle room, but would it have been smart as we sit here, knowing that Marshall got a pretty penny, to then just I'm gonna say blow your wad? That's not what you want. To just spend all of your cash, or you're on some kind of budget. I think a lot of us, myself included, just like, who cares? Bring them all. They're all great. Let them all. You can't commit that much money. You have to at least you're thinking about the endless funds that you have. That money could be better spent elsewhere, I guess is what I was trying to say, which I could have just said it just like that. Jesters, what does success look like for the 26 seasons for the staff and the player on both sides? No generic answers. Playoffs. I don't know if that's you're looking for more texture than that, but I need Bryce Underwood to take a gigantic step forward. I need the offense to do the same thing, but I need Michigan to get to double-digit wins, and I needed to get them into the postseason. That's what success looks like. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to move on from everyone if they fall short. Although I'm expecting. I don't know. We're going to see how this team fills out. But as much as I could sit around crying about Metcalf or Hillman or whoever else is jumping in the portal, the biggest thing that everyone I think would agree on is that how far Underwood progresses from last year to this upcoming year is going to be a huge part. That's a team game, all those things. It's a huge part of Michigan having success or not. How much progress Underwood has made. But yeah, I'm looking to be into the playoffs. That's what success looks like to me. I don't even know if I can cook up a successful season for you. Oh, they had a hard schedule. Oh, it was year one. I mean, there's no more. Let's give Whittingham a couple years to say, no, that's not it. Whittingham said it himself. There's all the distractions and everything else, but this isn't a rebuild. Michigan's got a quarterback that's ready to take this trajectory to the college football playoffs. And these guys that were in the portal and came back, like on offense, Gentry, or the Marsh thing. These guys you're thinking about playoffs. Out on bail, fresh out of jail. There's Rip. More from Mr. 147. We need to regroup and make this team deep. Try to keep the players we got, but we need depth. I like where you're at on that. I like somebody named Detroit Wolverine with a Michigan helmet. This is the kind of feedback I've been looking for. Milk Wizard says Coy Detmer Jr.'s got to shave that monstrosity before he starts. Now, I have to admit something, that when I saw that Coy Detmer was going to be the quarterback coach, it's like, I remember Coy Detmer. Well, played at Colorado, played in the NFL for the Eagles for, I don't know, a decade maybe. And I was looking at the ages of the Michigan coaches, and I was just putting them into, actually, I have that right here. I had it there. Maybe I got to take you down there. Take you down. Working on it still. There it is. I was putting the names up here. So then I got to Coy Detmer, and it was Coy Detmer Jr. that actually is on the Michigan staff. And a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought Coy Detmer Jr., he was going to be an analyst, but Coy Detmer Jr. is a full-fledged coach and full-time with Bryce Underwood as the quarterback coach. And I guessed at looking at him, knowing that he was at Utah for a stop last year, New Mexico, where a lot of these coaches were before, like back, played at BYU and then at a place called Texas A&M Kingsville. And then it was to New Mexico. This is all pretty recent. I guessed at his age at 25. But I don't know how old you are. Oh, I can't put the names up there when a milk. But that new mustache and kind of pulling that out, whatever you call the handlebars, those seem to be popular with the youngsters. I don't care. Detmer can keep that mustache if he works his, I was going to say magic. It's just if he gets Underwood to play like Michigan fans want. He can grow that thing for forever. Not Rip says, please get Haynes and Metcalf. Yeah, I felt like when I saw that Taylor Tatum, the running back, the former top 5-star running back, when he was in the fold a day or two ago, that spelled the end of Michigan and Haynes. Michigan never shut the door on anything, but I'm not expecting that now. Where Metcalf, who knows how these guys are looking at it? You got the new. That's the one part that's always when you had the 16 days off. All of these guys were out and telling their, you talk about tampering. They were all telling their agents to get on the horn with every school to see what they could get. And so the new staff comes in, they make their evaluations, and then they put the price tag. They say, whatever it was for Metcalf, if they said, hey, TJ, here's $250. We got $250,000 for you. And Metcalf's thinking he could get $500,000 from somebody. I don't know what those numbers are for sure, but it's either the money, really good guess, how you fit and jive with the new coaching staff. So familiarity, what kind of connection you have with them, the other things that could go into it, scheme. But so, money and then the connection with the new coaching staff, whatever it is. You can't say. Under par saying the chicks love stashes too. Look at that. I have to say, for the first time ever, now it's different now. You go back to a couple videos ago, I had shaved completely, and then I waited a couple days, and then I shaved everything except where you would say a mustache. And man, it wasn't where you'd say really thick or anything, but it was there. And I would walk around the house, and I would walk past the mirror, and I'd be like, whoa, who's that? I went to the gym and I was standing there, they got all the mirrors all around, and I went, hey, is anybody right here? Is anybody working here? And I was like, oh, wait a second, that's me. It makes you look way different. What I thought, and I'm not sure if it's happening or not, that I would have the very pronounced upper lip, and then the rest of it was kind of just as more accompanying it. But now I don't know if you can really tell that or not. But when you say the chicks love it, my wife wasn't really. I think she wasn't all that into it. Hello, John. It's great to see you. It's a great picture down on the field. NFM. You got to remember, our head coach said, you will become us. We will not become you. So some of these players may not be a fit for Coach Winningham. He certainly did say that. So you say, I was going to say, I don't know what that means, but I know what that means. He's looking for, you got to mesh with the coach. You got to feel it. He's got to feel it. If any of these guys, there's the one thing about that. I know you come in and you take a visit, and that's going to mean a lot. You can look at somebody in their eye to know what kind of person they are, those kind of things. But if I'm an agent to any of these players, I just say, hey, look, just don't lead with, yeah, I want a mill. I'm looking for a millie. You let them bring that up. Just go in, you know, be genuinely interested in the coach, the team, talk about school, the weight room. Those are the things. And then when they bring up money, they say, yeah, I'm looking for a millie. Because before, I don't know, Michigan may be a little bit like this. Maybe there's some other teams too where it's a turnoff. They were just looking for money. Don't come in, and you're taking a visit, and you're like, no, let's get to the office. Let's talk turkey. Forget school. No, well, let's a millie. Let's go to that. That seems to would be pretty obvious, but it's up to Whittingham and company to be able to figure that part out. Are they just there for the money? I think 95% of these guys want it all. They want to win. They want to go to the NFL. They want to play for a championship, which goes back to number one. Let's just start over. They want to play for a championship. They want to play, and they want money. And I don't have a problem with any of those three things. If I was Whittingham and I was sitting across from some five-star that came in and first thing, hey, it was the flight. What's going on? What do you think? You like the cold. And I said, what are your goals? He said, I want to win a championship, coach. I want to play for a champion, and I want to make as much money as I can. I wouldn't be like, get this guy out of here. NRS says the DB coach is sus after all these player moves. Now, I would put that into the knee-jerk reaction category, saying that Gennaro Guilford is sus. Guilford, almost out of any of these coaches, is the most proven, decorated at what he was able to do a decade there at BYU. How the secondary has ranked this year, how many picks they had, all of that. And what if it's not like Michigan's secondary was this back line of defense where you thought this is a championship defense. You got to keep these guys no matter what. I didn't hear anybody saying that. So the other part of the equation here, yeah, the player might in those 16 days have gone out and thought they were worth more. They also might have looked at this scheme. They might not have had a connection with the coaches, but the coaches have also looked at their film. They have an idea of all of the different players that are out there and the kind of money that they can spend. And they might be like, let's just move on. Let's bring a fresh batch of guys. I got better guys than these guys that are here. If they don't want to play for 250, then hit the portal. But I understand why you're saying that he's sus, but he might know exactly what he's doing. You know what I thought it was a sus move was when Jim Harbaugh came in and he went right to the transfer portal. Or he went to at least the transfers. Michigan had a pretty highly rated quarterback coming in that was already there. And everyone thought that, what was it, Shane Morris, right? Yeah. This is the odds-on favorite. Wait till Harbaugh gets a hold of him. Harbaugh, quarterbacks, this is going to be great. No. Harbaugh brought two guys in. Was he sus? Or did he know what he was doing? No, you're saying, am I comparing Harbaugh to Gennaro Guilford? Yeah, in this situation, I am. because the coach has to, this coach has an idea of what kind of player, what kind of skill set, his defense, how it fits in with Jay Hill. And yeah, the money's going to be part of it, fit with the players. It's both sides of that equation. Look, I just think I understand why you would say it's suspect. But it also could mean that, this guy knows exactly what he wants and he is just working through it. Now, Michigan wasn't a great team last year. And a lot of people I've seen it, chalk it up to, and I can understand that the coach was, sitting on a throne of lies and, that's going to trickle down. He was worried about DM and whatever he was doing. And that's going to factor in with a lack of success on the team, but also some of the players. So the team was a little bit sus. The secondary was a little bit sus to begin with. So, yeah, the new DB coach could be sus. The whole secondary could be sus. The defense. Everybody wants us to say, Wink sucked. Glad he's gone. Oh, he's going to put all those same players with Jay Hill? Come on. Is this what it's coming down to? Looking for Ellison again and Jolin? I don't think Michigan is just backing up the Brinks truck to everyone. I was looking through the portal teams, and a lot of those teams are ones that you would say are NIL teams. Teams that are opening up the vault. Texas A&M, Texas Tech, the U. Those were the teams that jumped out at me that have been doing really well in the transfer portal. Those are teams that are, paying a bunch of money. I think Michigan, they're not going on the cheap, but I'm also not sure that they're just going in there and saying we're going to be a top 5 spending NIL team in the transfer portal. Would I like that? Yeah, I would. I would if you're saying what you want Michigan to be shrewd and top 25, which was I probably think where they're at. I don't know. I would even think that they would be top 15, top 10 sounds a lot better. But no, I would rather have them be top 5. Be more exciting and getting the big time players. But I don't get the sense that they are doing that. If there was a week to break out and get some cold pops in the fridge with some blue cheese and this would be the week. We'll get to that. I don't know what that means. Bank account. Smash. Talking about this quarter zip. Give us the discount code for that and sell it online. Maybe I'll go to a clothing realtor and say, look, I want you to be the official realtor. You have any ideas? Let's do it. This is a very comfortable. It was a Christmas gift, I believe. No, I think I had it before that. I did. I was wondering about the color. I don't know what that means. Wit. Oh, no, I think I do know. Now that I think about it, I think that's like a Mormon thing. I think, right? I don't know. Hadley. It's good to get Hadley's perspective. Last time I got Hadley's perspective, he was talking about drinking rye whiskey and eggnog. This is what he has to say now. If Kyle Whittingham had a catchphrase like the other two coaches did, what do you think it would be? I'm sure it would be better than Smash. I think that if there is one thing that he has had to say, it was just what we were talking about a little while ago, Hadley. It was this. At least that's what jumped out to me. Maybe there's more. I did not I read a transcript of both of no, just of the Rich Eisen interview, and then the Portnoy interview. I didn't listen to a little bit of it, just some of the snippets there, but I didn't listen to the whole thing. So maybe there would be, and I don't know who else he's talked with. I know he's been down in Orlando. He spoke, but so far, I would say that Whittingham, if he has a catchphrase, is that it is "You will become us. We will not become you." In fact, let's type that out. Let's see. It's gonna take me a second here. Wish I could type. I can type faster. You will become us. We will not become you. Now, do you like that? I like that. That didn't, that when I saw that, not surprised that NFM was bringing that up because when I saw it, I thought that's the kind of thing a coach says. That's what's going on right now, Hadley. Let's keep that up there for the show now. Under par, we're going to get to basketball. He says he saw that Michigan fell to number 2. Well, they were number 2. You must be talking about Ken Pom. And I actually have not gone into the Ken Pom rankings. I did watch Arizona play after that, and they looked great. So I wouldn't. Let's get to that in a minute. Smash says, I go by Smash. Should I drop that? Is that unique to Moore? Yeah, it is unique to Moore. I think you need to be YWBU something. It needs to be a little bit tighter there, right? Smash. Jason says, who's happy? I am. Whittingham is doing what he does best. We're losing little to no players, and our special teams have improved dramatically. That's a third of the game, folks. Being a former coach, huge. Yeah, well, if you were about keeping some of the good players, I think you should at least meet the people that are happy. If you're not happy, halfway on that. That was a big deal. I thought Wednesday I was really happy. They'd be like, why are you so happy? They haven't been doing anything. Where are all the players that are coming in? Every year you are a free agent. So, yeah, you have the familiarity, but it is not a sure thing that guys are coming back because they can just peace out anytime they want. Now, maybe they will have some kind of ironclad contracts where you're going to have a hard time getting out of them for multi-years, but there's none of that going on right now. Take a look at Damon Williams from Washington. Signs for $4 million, and next week he's like, I'm out. Somebody was offering me 4.5. So forget it. So I have taken both of those things into account. And like I said, I can understand why, you're waiting around wanting more players there. And there's still at least a week to go to get some things happening. Rip is not happy. He's talking about a washed up former 5-star and losing Hayes. I looked at it like this, that there's only so much money to go into the running back position. Tatum was hurt, so I understand why you're going to say washed up. We'll see, but if he was rushing for 2,000 yards, he would be going to a program where he could be the number 1 back. He's coming in here certainly to compete, but Marshall's the number 1 back. Yeah, Rip's not happy with the positivity about the guys. Smash wants to know, why did Haynes leave? Was it Michigan's call or was it his? Well, I think it was his call. He wants a big number, which is fine. And yeah, you could have it was 1 and 1A last year. That would have been fine. I would have welcomed him back. I still will. But it's a crowded room. I think the other factor in this one right here, I think we can all let's all. And Michigan is bringing in the number one running back in the country in Hyder. I'm expecting it to be a lot. It would not surprise me if Hyder was a tremendous back right out of the gate and was getting almost as many snaps as Jordan Marshall. I mean, so for the people, it always sounds good. It's pay Hayes. Well, what if Hyder's then like, I'm out? Damn. I mean, so let's say there's a little bit of finesse going on with all of this and with these positions. And again, how much? They're paying Hyder. They're paying Marshall. And then Haynes is like, I'm not going pro, but I want $2 million. Like, we don't got $2 million for the position. And then you have to say, if you give Haynes $2 million, well, Hyder might be out. You could say, I don't care because I like Haynes if I can get him. Well, I got that part. JJ would like to retain some DBs, but I'm not sure they fit our scheme. I don't think Justice Haynes was in the budget or fits the running scheme. Yeah, I don't know about the running scheme part, but again, scheme and is going to be part of it, so you could be right on that. Rip's not happy with the players that are in the portal. He doesn't want to play the patient game. John is talking about Haynes and money. Yeah, look, there's the argument to be made with Haynes is that Hyder is, being number one out of high school is great and everything. But if this really is a 1 year, a year-to-year process, get the very best player. Well, and you could say, well, that is Haynes. So if you paid Haynes all this money and Hyder didn't want it, well, too bad. You could understand that line of thinking. But it also has to play out if you got Hyder, you went all through this, you went through the change in the coaching staff, the same thing with Marshall, and then you're like, okay, guys, I don't know if you can operate like that. What are other players going to do? This is what you want to do as a Michigan fan. This fits my my line of thinking that I was talking about at the beginning. JJ's bringing it up. Haynes is injury prone. Never been a yards after contact type running back. See, there it is. Yeah. If you're with us, you're doing really good. If you're not, see ya. Smash talking basketball. Well, let's do it. Oh, Teddy's throwing a rumor in about Justice Haynes. He says there's a rumor that Georgia Tech offered him 2.6. Would rather spend that on their players, especially with our stable of running backs. Yeah, I agree with that. Not Ripstar says Fred Moore transferring to MSU is a disgrace. Is it a disgrace for Michigan State? Is it a disgrace for Fred Moore? Is it a disgrace for Michigan? He wasn't making it at Michigan. He had the drops. Michigan needed wide receivers, and he couldn't break the starting lineup, so I completely understand why he would move on. Going to Michigan State, they got a new coach and a new everything else. I don't see that as being that's also, I think I just need to come up with my list. If you leave, you're no good. If you come in, you're great. If you go anywhere that has any connection with Michigan, like a rivalry, you're a clown. So that would fit. That would fall into that category. That would be like number 2. Yeah. Anybody that's going to Michigan State, it's a disgrace. I'm with you on that. Old KJ coming in on Tatum and talks about his film, saying that he has not put it together yet. He believes he has Haynes-like ability. Yeah, I thought that he was injured. Talking about the number of players. Again, if you're riding the Rapids and you want to be like, I'm mad. Hey, we got a really good player. Who's next? What's or you could just sit back and say, I'm going to wait and see how it plays out. I suggest a combination of those two. Yeah. Stay on top of it. Let's look at every single move, every single thing that's happening. Let's have some fun with it. But knowing that, I saw somebody today saying, wow, it's quiet. Michigan's really quiet. I mean, this was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what do you think they're doing? You want to wake up? Who knows how they could do for the rest of the day? But it was like I was saying Wednesday. If I got to today and Michigan had done nothing, I could say, I'm going to be a little barking a little bit. Well, they went out and got a top 5 player in the portal. Now, this is a question I can't answer, but let's think about it. It's a good one. How much money does Michigan have to spend overall? 35 to 40 million? Or is it a lot less compared to Ohio State? Well, if we're comparing them to Ohio State, what's happening right now, portal-wise, is Ohio State and Michigan are kind of ranked. They're neither are really, killing it in the portal. I would guess that Ohio State, based on their spending over the last couple of years, is going to be in the top 5, certainly the top 10. I would think my guess would be that Michigan would be around 10, maybe in the top 15. I think Michigan is just. I know. I like I said, I would rather have Michigan in the top 5, pulling guys left and right. Spending this. Going out there, just splurge it everywhere. Let's do it. Everybody wants some good news. Here's Teddy. Teddy's been hearing a lot of things. He heard about the Georgia Tech number. Now he's hearing 35, 40 mil. This is a interesting one. Again, Brian, back-to-back interesting thoughts here. He says he wonders how this new coaching staff. I wonder how this new coaching staff, if they're really that good at recruiting, especially in the Midwest, and how much that's going to hurt them. Well, that was on the ledger of that you had the good things about Witt, been around the block, tracking as a likely college football Hall of Fame coach, taskmaster, no holds barred, tough, square jawed. These are all on the good side. On the other side, it was up there in age, no Midwest ties, calls Ann Arbor the A2. I mean, so you might as well have been bringing somebody in from the moon. So this was always going to be the question. That's why if I was sitting around, and again, it's really easy for me to say, hey, let's open up the vault a little bit. Let's help it out. It's a little different when you're out there in Utah than when you're in the Big Ten. You got to start throwing some stacks around, dropping some bags. As much as we used to, cry about the, other teams, it's just about the bag. It's about developing. It's a lot about the bag right now. Let's go. Yeah, Rip has done the work on a third round back. He says between 5.5 and 6.5 over 4. That's the guaranteed money they get. It's a lot. 1.5 a year. That's why if Haynes is thinking that he can get over 2, you understand that he could make more money. Only one portal, so they got to get as much as possible before it closes. We've got some Scooble questions. Yeah, I have not been thinking about a Scooble right now. I haven't. But I have been thinking about Michigan basketball. I also have been thinking about the portal and the coaching staff. And if you want to become a member of the Maize and Blue, you will become us by going to on3.com. We will not become you. You will become us. It's the Maize and Blue review plus On3 plus Rivals plus you. And then you will become us. If you do not go to On3, you will not get the Maize and Blue review plus Rivals, and we will not become you. Take advantage of that ultimate fan bundle. Here's what I wanted to tell you. Tomorrow, the Michigan basketball team is in action, and they will tip it up against Wisconsin at 1:06. I believe that is a CBS game. So I want to remind you, if you did not know this, on the very feed you're watching or listening to right now, after the game, we will go live and talk all about what transpired on the hardwood in the A2 in Ann Arbor tomorrow. It's going to take me a little bit of an adjustment from the Kyle Whittingham. I want to know who told him, hey, they call it the A2 now. But again, could it be the same guys that are like the handlebar mustaches and hoppy beers are in? And so is saying A2. We'll get some more in here. Oh, I wanted to make a call about the playoffs and talk about the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, the playoffs. Yesterday, daughter has some friends in and they were doing something. It was around 7:00. And I looked at my watch because my wife wanted me to join her with this presentation that they were doing. And when, excuse me, she saw me look at my watch. She said, is there some sort of big game or something going on? I said, there are big games for the next 5 days. She's like, the next 5 days? I said, well, yeah. I mean, you have the college football semifinal tonight. You have one tomorrow. You have 2 NFL games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then 1 on Monday, and you throw in the Michigan basketball game. Just like, wow, that many. You want to watch all of those games? And I said, I mean, if I can, I will. I mean, unless we got something going. Yeah. Last night was a lot of fun watching that game. I just saw that Trinidad Chambliss is not going to get another year, so he's not going to be able to. His college career is done, and he played great in these playoffs. He played really well all year long, actually. And then what he was doing last night, it wouldn't have been a complete shock, but I was ready for him just to make one of these just magical moments, even when it looked like he had lost, when Beck ran the ball in and somehow win it with be the greatest game ever. That's the kind of run that he was on. Looking forward to that Indiana game tonight. The NFL playoffs, I don't want to say I've looked at it, I'm studying it, going through it. I don't remember. And they haven't been going with 7 teams, for that many years in each side. But there are more teams this year that I would not be surprised that would be into the Super Bowl I don't like really either of the 2 1 seeds. That's Seattle and Denver. The only teams that I would be shocked to get if they got to the Super Bowl would be the Steelers and the Panthers and also the Packers with the injuries that they've had. Jacobs doesn't look any good. He hasn't. They lost Micah Parsons. So that would be a real surprise if they won all of their games and ended up in the Super Bowl. The Panthers, they go without saying. But the Steelers, the way that they got in, I just can't see them winning 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. But all of the other teams, it wouldn't be that shocking if they got there. And with that said, I'm picking 2 teams that will get no games at home all the way through. I think I'm going with the Rams and the Bills to play in the Super Bowl. That's how I see it. Adjust your leagues and your picks as you will. That's how I'm selecting it. That's how I see it. So that's it. Basketball tomorrow. Yeah, it's too bad. That's it. The too bad part is that the Lions would have been in there. You'd feel like they had a pretty good shot in this wide open season. That was a pass interference on the last play. It's too bad that Chambliss wasn't able to put that ball on him because there's no doubt that guy had his hand. He's holding him like this as he's going for the ball, but it ended up where you might even say it could have been uncatchable, but they don't. When it comes down to a last play, kind of almost there wasn't quite a Hail Mary, but I think you tend to let a little bit of that going. Let a little bit of that go. You notice how the announcers weren't like, it's like, yeah, he didn't really look like he's done. And there's a little bit of both, the guy's clearly got his hand, he's pulling him down. If that would have been earlier in the game, that'd have been like, that's totally a pass interference. You got to put the ball on him, though. And he didn't do that in these next 5 days. It came from the A2 sweatshirts that's for sale. Yeah, A squared. I've definitely heard that before. That's okay. I could be out of it. People that are out there like, oh yeah, we run around. We've been calling it the A2 for years. I just never run into anybody that said that. T is talking about a defensive tackle that Michigan just picked up. Well, I'll have to confirm that, T. Dot. But let's see. It would be nice. It'd be a nice way to wrap up this show with a defensive tackle. They're looking for some defensive tackles. Boom, defensive tackle. I see it. Jonah Leah Aya. Leah Aya? Jonah Leah Aya has committed to Michigan. Started every game this season for the Utes. Jonah Leah Aya. Wait, Leah Aya. Leah Aya. What sounds better? Leah Aya or Leah Aya. One of those two. What do we think about him? There he is. Oh, he looks good. Defensive tackle. Come on. Michigan needs that defensive tackle. Part of the Utah Wolverines. Let's do it. Bring him in. Needed defensive line. Needed defensive tackles. That's it. Here's a nice picture of the Maize and Blue Review. He is a big boy that he's coming in on the defensive line. Oh, big day for Mr. IU. He's saying it might take a year for Witt to fully get the lay of the land in Midwest recruiting. Yeah, it might. Does it matter if you know the Midwest when it's the transfer portal and people are just looking for transactions? I was looking at the background of these guys and you're thinking, well, any of these guys, you really feel like Jason Beck, no ties. Coy Detmer, no ties. Jim Harding was a head coach in high school in Michigan at Troy, and he is from Ohio. There you go. There's your Midwest ties. Alford, Midwest ties. Coaching at Ohio State and Notre Dame previous to his stop in the A2. No ties from the wide receiver coach. Defense, no ties. Guilford, no ties. Esposito, Western before here, there's your ties. Powell, no ties. And Whittingham, NFL, but no ties. What about the Combs? Puffy. He's got a lot of ties. Fred Jackson. Well, these are not the recruiters. The rest of these guys, I don't know, but there we go when it comes down to it. All right. J.J. Buchanan committing to Michigan per Pete Nakos. Also, Texas wide receiver Jaime Ferranch will be on campus Saturday. I really don't know how to say. I know that French spells his name. I really hope he's a good player too. I remember when recruiting was going on, but his name is spelled capital F, and then he has another F. So is it French? Like you roll it out there? Jaime French. I don't know. I want him. I hope it happens. It could be going down. Oh, here we go. Look at now Ripstar perking up a little bit. Time to get some ice before you head back to the home and pick up some blue cheese. Now you're getting a little excited. Goats sent Yost. He's a local. He's heard the A2. There you go. You're the first person I've seen that said that, so that's good. That's it. So yeah, grab some. It's all French to you. It's all Greek to me. It's all French. It's French. The Rip doing his work on the tight end. J.J. Buchanan. Oh yeah, he was. These numbers weren't jumping out, but he was a good prospect. The tight end coach, actually, remember looking at it, seems to be pretty well accomplished when it comes down to they were calling it tight end U. Freddie Whittingham, who was there 13 years, Dalton Kincaid when he played there. So J.J. Buchanan coming into Ann Arbor, not too bad. He's a freshman and blew our tight ends out of the water. Skanoa says he played tight end, but mostly played wide receiver. A rising sophomore. Yeah. Yeah, well, so Michigan, they're out there working. It was a quiet morning, but things are happening now. To continue, this is how it works over at the Maize and Blue Review. It is going on. The Borg will be out. Where's the Borg? In full effect for tomorrow as Michigan basketball is back in action and we'll be ready to fill this thing up. Get it going. Added a few things. Haven't added anything inside, outside. It's there. So long, everybody. See you over on the Maize and Blue Review. Thanks for watching. And as always, take that next step. Head on over to on3.com and subscribe. It's fun. You like Michigan. It's happening all the time. You get that ultimate fan bundle. That's right there for you. Take advantage of it. That's where you join the Maize and Blue Review for 50% off for your first year. Whoa, 50% off. As a bonus, your membership includes a complimentary year of The Athletic. Go to on3.com to join up with the Maize and Blue Review. That's going to do it. I'm going playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. You enjoy it. I know I'm going to. We will talk with you tomorrow after the Michigan basketball game.